From the CyberHub bunker and studio, you're tuning in to the CyberHub Podcast. And now for your host and CISO, James Azar.
Good morning, security gang. Welcome to another episode of the CyberHub Podcast. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at Nudge Security. You're going to hear more from them later on in the show. We've got a packed show for all of y'all today, so let's not waste any time and get the show going. So in anticipation of getting ready, I forgot to make my espresso. It's embarrassing. I've got my morning one that I finished here, but as I was getting ready for the show, and there's a lot to talk about today, I forgot my espresso. So with that being said, coffee cup cheers to all of y'all. Thank you so much. Let's go ahead and get the show going because there's a lot to talk about. Starting with Transport for London, TfL, the city's transport authority, investigating a cyber attack that has yet to impact its services as of now. However, speaking with someone who actually lives in London, he's saying there are setbacks currently. They're just not what you think, meaning, trains are running late, buses are running a little bit behind schedule. There's some operational challenges, but nothing yet concrete. The agency says that there is no evidence that any information was compromised during the incident. They're dealing with the incident as we speak. TfL also reported the attack to their federal agency, including the National Cybersecurity Center and the National Crime Agency in the UK. So all in all, this is a developing story this morning. We'll get you more as it becomes available, but big news for the folks over in London. Just so you know, if you've never been to London, public transport in London is huge. It's really as important as New York. So when trains and buses go offline, you really gridlock that city because that city is not designed for driving. Like, if you've ever driven in London, you realize that city's not designed for driving at all. It's designed for public transport and walking. And that's that. So hopefully we'll have more information tomorrow or later on today. Stay tuned. Check out our website or our social media accounts for updates there. So about a month ago, we reported on this WazirX crypto hack. WazirX is one of the largest cryptocurrency exchanges in India. They're now revealing that 43% of their customers' funds were lost and won't be recovered. In a virtual press conference alongside with representatives from Kroll, the restructuring firm, they've discussed their plan to go through through a restructuring process that could take up to 6 months. The cyber attack, which was confirmed July 18th, involved the loss of over $230 million from one of their multi-signatory wallets. The exchange reported also that the wallet was operated using a liminal digital asset custody and wallet infrastructure. I'm actually now checking out one more story that someone just dropped me here. So according to PeckShield, just last month alone in crypto, there were $313 million worth of crypto theft. Most of those attacks are attributed to phishing. So it wasn't direct hacks, but rather phishing. 313 million. So 230 million from WazirX, 313 million according to PeckShield in lost crypto. Kind of goes to the fact that crypto doesn't have any standards. So these exchanges, they really rise up as market disruptors, and they bring in the people who believe in crypto, and yours truly believes in crypto as well. But you're not implying the right security. It's not the same type of security you have to do there. And so WazirX now going through a massive restructure, 230 million of which 43% is unrecoverable. So, the situation's become really complicated. CoinSwitch, another crypto exchange, initiated legal action to recover $9.7 million worth of assets stuck on the WazirX platform. Singapore's High Court is also hearing WazirX's request for 6 months protection while it restructures its liabilities after losing $234 million, some 45% of customer funds in that hack. And that just shows you the dangers of cybersecurity incidents and how bad and how fast a business can go. WazirX, no one ever thought this in a day, right? So a good use case of disruptions to business operation that leads to the essentially almost elimination of the company. They're now fighting to restructure it. CISA on Thursday last week introduced their online portal for voluntary report of malicious cyber attacks, vulnerabilities, and data breaches. The service portal enhances functionality and collaborations, enable the ability to save and update incident reports. It shares submitted reports with colleagues or clients and search for reports. User can also have informal discussions with CISA through the portal. So they're asking everyone to kind of voluntarily do it now. Now, do it right now. Now, mind you, this is the beta version of this portal. Why? Because the critical infrastructure executive order, and then additionally some of the laws that have passed, has essentially said that all critical infrastructure organizations have to report data breaches to CISA. CISA is essentially building this portal in anticipation of having to enforce this. I believe it's January of next year or maybe July. I'm not sure. I may have this mixed up. But nonetheless, then the portal will become mandatory for critical infrastructure organizations. Right now, they're beta testing this. They're trying to get as many companies in there. They're trying to develop a system before it becomes a law, so they don't have the Obamacare, Medicare website where everything collapsed and nothing worked and there was no kind of stuff. So again, this is just the work that CISA is doing there as well. So the portal is live. You can check it out in the show notes. Link is there, and you can actually collaborate with CISA that way. Blackbyte's ransomware as a service is believed to now be an offshoot of Conti. Now, this is according to Talus, who believes that based on some of the observations and the new techniques, that really Blackbyte ransomware gang is really kind of an offshoot of Conti. And again, Conti went down, FBI, Interpol, everyone celebrated, and then they come back up with a different name. And if you think of like if this show wasn't live, I'd have a really funny part here where it's Michael Scott in from The Office negotiating and going like, I don't have to wait you out. I have millions of paper company names I can come up with. I'll just shut one down, open another one up, and I just have to wait you out to buy me out at the price I want. And this right here is very spot on when it comes to how we fight cybercrime. We fight cybercrime without really understanding how cybercrime is, and it's distributed. So I never celebrate a ransomware gang taken down. I have been in the past, but now that I've made my observations, as I've developed my point of view towards cybercrime and the decentralized nature of it, anytime we take down a kind of like the negotiation site, the leak sites, that's all we took down. We got the decryptors, that's great, but then these guys are going to go back, regroup, go away on vacation for 3 months, come back under a new name, start it all over again. And in those 3 months, they're going to figure out how law enforcement got to them. They're going to become more resilient, better. They're going to be more distributed, more decentralized as nature, and go about that way. So these guys are coming in. They're extremely, extremely noteworthy. They believe they're getting through several CVEs, although the big exploit that they're seeing is the ESXi hypervisor vulnerability that we've talked about, CVE 2024-37085, which is an authentication bypass vulnerability. That's really what they're going after, to obfuscate. They go after your systems, they uninstall EDR or they disable your EDR. So you got to make sure your security operations center is well aware of these types of activities and that you're really securing your hypervisors, your virtual machines. You've got enough visibility in there as well. Google also catching Russian state-backed groups reusing iOS and Chrome exploits previously deployed by spyware merchants like NSO Group and Intellexa. According to researchers at Google Tag, Russia's APT-29, also known as Midnight Blizzard, has been using exploits with identical or striking similarities to those used by controversial surveillance software vendors, but state-bought nonetheless. According to Google's researchers, APT-29 has used multiple in the wild exploit campaigns that delivered from a watering hole attack on the Mongolian government websites. The campaign first delivered an iOS WebKit exploit that affected iOS versions older than 16.6.1 and later a Chrome exploit chain against Android users running versions from M121 to M123. Google published technical documentations of an Apple Safari campaign between November of 2023 to February of this year that delivered an iOS exploit via CVE 2023-41993. This one was patched by Apple, but nonetheless, some people haven't patched their devices yet, so they're still vulnerable to it and they're abusing it. So something to keep in mind there. Now, folks, a brief message from our friends over at Nudge Security and their solution to help you deal with Gen AI. Do you know who's experimenting with AI in your organization? Our friends over at Nudge Security have come up with a patented approach for SaaS discovery, giving you a full inventory of all apps ever introduced by anyone in your organizations, and all in minutes. This includes Gen AI applications. The best part is you don't even have to know what you're looking for. You simply do a quick one-time setup, so easy, no change management required, no browser plugins, no network proxies, no agent. Nudge Security is going to discover and categorize every SaaS and cloud account ever created by anyone in your organization. You can get a free 14-day trial today. You'll get a full list of all Gen AI apps and users. You'll get insights into their security posture, compliance certification, breach history, and more, so you can quickly vet new AI tools and guide users towards a secure alternative. Take control of Gen AI security risks today by going to nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub, nudgesecurity.com/cyberhub to start your free 14-day trial today. All right, so thank you to our friends over at Nudge Security. Go check them out. Get your 14-day free trial. Your support there as well. And thank you to some of our super fans here. Thank you for the feedback. The real Casadaro, really appreciate it. And thank you for supporting our YouTube channel. You can go check out our YouTube channel as well. So let's go ahead and continue with new flaws in the Microsoft applications for macOS. So this specifically targets enterprise Microsoft applications like Outlook, Teams, Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and OneNote. Essentially, anyone who doesn't want a Windows device who has to use Microsoft, mind you, like 78 or 80% of all corporations use the Microsoft Business Suite on macOS. So 8 different vulnerabilities were discovered. Some of those could gain elevated privileges or access to sensitive data. They circumvent the OS permission-based model, which revolves around the transparency, consent, and control framework that exists within the Mac ecosystem. Now, the attacker could send emails from a user account without even noticing. They could record audio clips, take pictures, record videos without any sort of user interaction, and the user wouldn't even know it at all. The folks over at Huntress are noting in their explainer that it works in conjunction with application sandboxing feature in macOS and iOS. So all in all, this now bears noting that the attacks of this kind require them to have a specific level of access to the compromised host, so it can be abused. So this isn't a 0-day vulnerability where every single one of these applications is available. However, if you have a macOS user who they have access to with these Microsoft applications, that increases the likelihood that they'd be able to be successful in launching these types of attack. Now, again, there's no active exploitation as of yet. Microsoft's been notified. Google's been notified. And so there's no real workarounds. They call this a low risk. They've stepped in to remediate the problem, but there's no patches as of yet. You can check out more in our show notes for that. Now let's move to CrowdStrike, because CrowdStrike is in a world of trouble here. So one, let's start off with the legal challenges that CrowdStrike faces. One, we know the infamous one from Delta Airlines for $500 million in damages, and David Boyce going there. But more people are joining and filing suit against CrowdStrike. United Airlines faced 3 days of disruptions. They've now initiated legal proceedings. Walmart, JP Morgan Chase have also joined the fray. They're citing significant losses and operational disruptions. Others included are IBM and Oracle. Oracle all also began looking at that. The total damages sought could be well over $2 billion. Shareholders have also taken legal action, filing a class action lawsuit against CrowdStrike, saying the company misled them regarding its software update procedures. So they're going to have to prove that, right? So this is a ambulance chaser case here with this class action. Unless in any sort of investor relation documentation, there was a clear software update procedure that the company did not follow over time, meaning it wasn't a one-time occurrence, I find it hard to believe that they're going to be successful in this class action lawsuit. Now, nonetheless, CrowdStrike's going to try to settle, but I think CrowdStrike's got to go the route here of don't settle, go to court, because if you did everything correct here with the software update procedure and you didn't mislead investors, but rather this was a simple mistake, then I would say that you're likely going to win this one in court, especially in front of a jury of our peers. Now, I know some lawyers will tell you not, but I believe in the common sense of the American people there as well. So CrowdStrike is getting ready to do a vigorous defense here. There's that. But now they've also got to go, and CrowdStrike is going to be hauled in front of the U.S. House Homeland Security Committee this month to explain why its faulty software update took down millions. But instead of CEO George Kurtz being called to testify, Adam Myers, CrowdStrike's senior VP of counter-adversary operation, is set to take the hot seat. George Kurtz at the time had agreed that I'd go to Congress and I'd give any sort of briefing or testimony. However, now Congress has kind of changed their plans. They want to speak to their to Adam here, and we'll see how that kind of pulls down. By the way, when this date is scheduled, we'll likely live stream it live and watch that testimony as it goes on. So go subscribe to our YouTube channel and our X channel. That's the only place where we'll live stream this live with your comments and so forth. And finally, the FTC has taken action against Verkada, imposing a fine. They say hefty, but it's a $3 million fine stemming from allegations of a series of cybersecurity failures that led to multiple breaches of the company's network and video storage platforms. This was obviously, the statement was issued on August 28th. Verkada engaged in multiple practices that, taken individually or together, failed to provide a reasonable or appropriate security for the personal information. And mind you, every time these settlements reach, there's some sort of legal threshold. There's some sort of FTC threshold to what they consider to be appropriate or reasonable security, right? So while they may not put it all in gray, but they may do that, and they explain it: inadequate password security, insecure default settings, limited MFA, insufficient access controls. All of those were exploited back in 2020 and 2021. You can imagine we're now 2024, so 3 years later to finally reach a settlement with the FTC. So Verkada, for their end, have said we've reached a settlement. It's all behind us. We take cyber seriously, and we'll see if there's any sort of harm beyond that. That's it for our show this morning. We'll be back tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern, live with all the latest. Please make sure to subscribe. Follow us. Go check out our Substack. I just dropped a brand new article for all of our readers around France and Brazil's attack on free speech. I think it's noteworthy. If you're a cybersecurity practitioner and you understand the need for freedom of internet and a free and secure internet, you understand that France and Brazil are setting a global precedent, one that could be very, very concerning to all of us in our ability to even put out content like this in the future. So my concerns are highlighted there with some history as well, to help you be able to have a sensible debate with someone who argues that Telegram or X should be regulated and government should control any one of those platforms, or any platform for that fact. That is a slippery slope and a dangerous threat to our freedoms as global citizens, as United States citizens, or any country that claims to be a democracy, yet battles free speech online. Thank you all for tuning in. Have a great rest of your day. And most importantly, stay cyber safe.
We love feedback, so make sure to connect with us on social media and subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcast listening platform.